Good afternoon. Welcome to English 1302. This is week 3. I was supposed to post up the assignment sheet for the first research paper, which we call R1, last week. I didn't get it done. I did get it posted up yesterday for you, but we're going to push the assignment date back by a week. So while your syllabus says week 4, we're going to push the final draft back to week 5. Now, it's a great idea to go ahead and print out a copy of the assignment sheet. There's a lot of information here. Let's go through it real quick. Okay, you're going to write roughly a 2-page paper over one of the assigned topics. It has to be one of the assigned topics. You're going to use the play as your only source. And I don't care which online version you use because they should all be the same. I do like the My Shakespeare or the Folger Shakespeare library. Either one is fine. But don't use any supplemental sources. And please don't use AI. Remember, AI in all its forms prohibited this semester, so be careful there. But use the play as your only source, and don't retell the story. Don't tell me what happened. Don't say, well, in Act 1, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Instead, you're going to pick one of these 5 topics, and we'll go over those, and then pick one of the 2 points. It's an either-or type situation. Then just explain why. For example, the 5 topics are King Duncan, Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Banquo, and the witches. If you choose to write about King Duncan in your first research paper, you can either make the point that he's not really very bright in the fact that he does some things which are questionable, or you could write about how he's too generous, he's too noble for his own good, which of course leads to his death. You could write about Macbeth, about how he's too easily influenced by others, including the witches, including his wife, including the king, or the fact that once he becomes king, he's just too brutal. You know, if he had just stepped in and just become king, usurped the throne himself, and then become determined to be a good king, he might have ruled wisely and well for many years, but he didn't do that. If you choose to write about Lady Macbeth, you could write about the fact that she is simply too ambitious. It's okay to be a little ambitious, but she's just too over-the-top ambitious, and that's what leads to her downfall. Or, now not both, either or, and these are kind of sort of contradictory, as you'll notice, or you could write about the fact that she is insane to begin with. Now, we know that in Act 3 she goes crazy and kills herself and sleepwalks and sees visions and tries to wash blood out of her hands, which is not there. But you could argue that she's crazy to start with, as exemplified by her ambition. Good. If you choose to write about Banquo, you could say, well, he's too loyal for his own good. He's really, really loyal. He's really obedient. He's really thoughtful of his commander. Or you could write about the fact that he is more loyal to his friend Macbeth than to his king Duncan. And that would be a bad thing, of course. Also leads to his downfall. Or you could write about the witches, and you can make the point that the witches are just totally, completely evil. There's no good in them. They are minions of the devil. They do nothing but evil in the world, and that's all there is to them. Or you could write and say, they're not really evil. They're just more mischievous. They don't really do bad things. They just talk about doing bad things. They don't make Macbeth a thing of Cawdor. They simply announce what the king has already announced. So it depends on how you see them. But anyway, pick one of the 5 topics, then pick one of the 2 subpoints. Then, as you read the play, now I use a freestanding version, but of course you're welcome to use a printout. The members of my class will print out and put it in a little binder like this. Makes it easy to highlight and keep track of. But as you read through there, it's a good idea to highlight anything. Let's say, for example, you're writing about King Duncan. It's a good idea to highlight, as you read the play, anything that King Duncan says, especially if it refers to his relative intelligence or to his nobility or generosity, or anything that anyone says about him being generous or noble or not very bright. Somebody asked, what did he do that wasn't very bright? Well, he made Macbeth, just on an outburst of emotion out of gratitude, he makes Macbeth a double Thane of Cawdor and Thane of Glamis, which just doesn't happen. he gives him too much, he overwhelms him, and he also spends the night in the castle of the guy who could become king. He takes his sons along with him, and with only 2 guards. Yeah, not the smartest cookie in the drawer, cookie in the package. Okay, now what you're going to turn in to me, and that's due Sunday, September 28th, before 11:55 p.m. If you've never used the Turnitin app, I posted a link to a video which will show you. Even if you've used it before, I encourage you to take the 4.5 minutes to watch the video, because Turnitin has upgraded and it's a little bit different. One thing I've noticed in showing my person-to-person classes is that it's taking longer to upload. And so if the app closes at 11:55 and you start at 11:54, you won't have time to finish submitting. So start submitting early enough to give yourself enough time to work through the process. To be honest with you, if I had something to do at 11:55, I would start no later than 11:45. Give yourself a good 10 minutes, just so you're not rushed, just so you make sure it goes through, and hang on to that digital receipt. Make sure you get a digital receipt. Until you get a digital receipt, you haven't finished submitting your work. But you knew that. What you also know is that on Sunday, September 21st, you're going to turn in an outline. And it's just a basic outline. Again, I have posted a sample, and I encourage you to print this out also. It looks like this. Okay, it's got your heading at the top, and if you're not positive what the format should be, I posted a handout on the format. It's called Format 2, and it both shows you and tells you the font, the spacing, the size, and explanations for all that. This is MLA. Then on page 2 of that same handout, it shows you how to format your works cited page. So just, and please don't look it up or go with some other formatting guide. Just copy and paste what I've given you. Seriously, we'll get more into the works cited page on our next assignment, but for right now, you've just got the one entry on the works cited page. Just copy and paste it. It's the one from the myshakespeare.com, and you may have used a different source, but that's okay. Just copy and paste from the second page of Format 2 and read the page. It's got lots of explanations there. Just copy and paste it onto your page 2, because you will need a works cited page for this. And it's just an outline. It'll have the thesis. Whoops, so we're here, the thesis. And the main idea of my paper is MacDonald was a complete villain. This is not one of your assignments. I just made this up. MacDonald was the rebellious general, the Thane who turned against Duncan and sided with Norway in the rebellion against Scotland. And so my thesis, my main idea of my final draft is going to be MacDonald was a complete villain. And then I support that with quotes from The Merciless MacDonald, Worthy to be Called That, from Act 1, Scene 2, lines 14 and 15. A little further down, but the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage, began a fresh assault. Shakespeare, Act 1, Scene 2, lines 31 through 33. And then Norway himself, assisted by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, who at that time was MacDonald, I put that in parentheses for you, began a dismal conflict. Shakespeare, Act 1, Scene 2, lines 53 through 54. So yes, you do have to have an in-text citation following each of your 3 quotes. You only have to have 3 quotes and a thesis, and that's really about it. So, you're asking yourself, well gosh, Mr. Fly, we've got almost 2 weeks to just write 4 sentences. Yes, you do. The catch is this. Once you submit this outline, then you are locked in to those quotes and that thesis. That thesis has to be your thesis for both the rough draft. Do we have a rough draft on this one? Well, no, just a final draft. I'm sorry. No rough draft. So the outline that you turn in, the thesis, the main idea, has to be the main idea on your final draft. And the quotes you use have to be used in the body paragraphs. I'll post another video and another example. Remember, the quotes are not the topic sentence of the body paragraph. You're going to have a separate topic sentence, and then the quote, and then an explanation of how the quote supports the thesis. I know it's simple, it's formulaic writing, but for what we're doing right now, that's okay. And that final draft, 700 to 1,000 words, is due no later than 11:55 p.m. on Sunday, September 28th. Please consult your syllabus for the policy regarding lay work. Hint, it's not accepted. And of course, remember that the use of AI in any form is prohibited. Get you a big zero on that. Okay, we're also going to push back the first quiz, and that quiz will cover Macbeth and Life and Times of William Shakespeare and a little bit on the history of drama. Those PowerPoints are all up for you and a couple of TED Talks, I think. We're going to push that back. This semester, we're going to be using HonorLock. If you've used Proctorio in the past, you've got a good idea of what it is. It's just a tool that in case of questionable activity taken during the test, it will flag it and let me know so I can review your test. Of course, you have to have a camera, you have to have a microphone, you have to have a computer. However, please remember that if you're uncomfortable using HonorLock or taking your test online, you're more than welcome to come up and take the test in my office during office hours or with my English 1302 class, which meets Monday night at 7 o'clock. That's the Lubbock Downtown Campus, room 2016. The campus is located on 13th and Avenue Q in grand and glorious downtown Lubbock, Texas. So, a lot to digest, a lot to cover in just a short video. Take your time, think about it, print out those handouts so that you'll have them to review quickly and easily. And when you have questions, not if, but when you have questions, drop me an email. Remember, we're not using Blackboard Messenger this semester. Just drop me an email, jfly@southplainscollege.edu. It can come from any email carrier you like. Your SPC email, it can come from your Hotmail, your Gmail, your AOL account, but yeah, send me an email with your question and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can with the answer to your questions. All right, good luck.